Burp. 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 Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do. Burp. 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 It's the internet. What's up, internet? It is Thursday night, and we're getting a late night live stream, 9:53 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Tacoma, Washington. And Carson Anderson, number one, to the live chat. What is up, my brother? What's happening? I'm sure we'll get to that. We'll get to what's happening. We got good news and we got great news. We got good things happening. I don't know if we'll get to the good news or the great news right off the start. But we will get to all of the news at some point in time. And we'll get to some of the current questions as soon as we can. And I've just realized that I'm going to lose my hat again. I think it feels like a thing that I'm going to do now, to wear my hat for about a minute and then realize I don't really feel like wearing a hat when I'm sitting here in the office. I generally wear a hat to keep all the muck and the mire from work out of my hair and off my dome piece. And it has been a beautiful 80 degrees again today, and sun shining in Tacoma, Washington, and it looks like they are saying 80 degrees for the whole entire Memorial Day weekend, which is a glorious revelation that never happens for holiday weekends around here. Holiday weekends around here are normally spent staring up at clouds, dumping moisture onto people, whether it's July or December or whatever. The holiday weekends never seem to work out this well. I guess we got the good news and we got the great news, but we'll start out with a little bit of bad news. What's up, Dwayne? Dwayne Kitchell, my man. Carson says, Buckets grew feet. We'll have new ones for you. I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody stole them. That would be my guess. That seems to be the theme of everything that's been happening recently, is thieves and criminals are running rampant. Rampant! Thieves running rampant, I tell you, and it has been nonsensical. I haven't gotten my hands on any of them yet with my crazy, wonky, half-dismembered thumb. I'll give you a quick thumb update. It looks like hell, but look at this. Look at this. I can move the thumb pretty good now. I can't get it all the way. Oh, maybe I can. I can get it all the way now. The bone in there is still not great, and my thumb it's definitely missing a lot of size in comparison to the other thumb. But I'll tell you this much. It hurts, but it don't hurt even remotely like it used to, and I can now probably 90% of the time grab stuff without any kind of pain, which is fantastic. I feel so good to be at a point now. I still have to wrap it every day because it's still healing, and as you can see, I've got a lot of crap all over this bandage, which I will be. I'll actually probably replace it during the live stream, and no one will be the wiser. Thumb status zombie. Yeah, for sure. It's a zombie thumb. It's gross, and it's all weird and pointy now because this whole portion is like gone. But the nail bed has started growing back, which is crazy. Doctor said there's really slim chance that the nail is going to grow back, and it has started growing back. So I think that's good news. I don't know. I bet I go to the doctors and they tell me it's bad news probably. I think I go back on the 2nd of June, I believe. So the next time I go back. I've been there quite a few times, and every time I go there, they say it's going to heal more, and we'll see you later. I guess you need an orthopedic surgeon to tell you that your wound is going to heal, I guess. I don't know. They don't really spend a lot of time with me. They just tell me that it's going to heal more, and we'll see you later. Lewis Q, man, long time for sure. What's happening? I don't know. I've been uploading a lot of videos of what's happening. Good stuff, bad stuff, indifferent. Bought a new house, moved here, blah, blah, blah. Sin. I talked to Sin yesterday. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. He's working on becoming a doctor, so he'll probably walk into an office and tell some guy that his thumb's going to heal in the future. I believe he's on his 3rd year, something like that. I don't know. It was cool to see him and Luis. The old timers are coming back. Carson's here. Luis, Sin. I mean, Dwayne's a new old school guy, so I think everybody fits in. Sounds good to me. So what is the good news? The good news is all of the parts are coming. All of the parts that I'm missing are coming. They shall be here tomorrow morning. There's no shipping delays. I got the update that says everything should be here on track tomorrow, which is fantastic. Not on track, the on track guys. No, it's actually coming, I think FedEx or UPS, which means that it will be here. It will be here at a good early time in the day. Those guys come early. The on-track guys are those fellas are suspect. Sometimes those dudes show up at 9 o'clock at night, which is bizarre for anybody to think that it's a good time to drop a package at a residence. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems weird to me. But I suppose they're trying to meet their deadlines for getting it that day of. Rurutu, are you a noob? I'm not sure. I'm not sure you are a noob. We'll just include you into the old school guys. Why not? That's all good. We're all noobs, really, when you get down to it. Dead Boy NYC, what's up, man? Luis Q's wondering about car parts. Assuming new tank parts. Yes, they are new tank parts. I was short on some plumbing parts to get the 240 up and running again. Because in yesterday's live stream, I was talking about during the move, the timeline was just ticking away rapidly in rapid succession, and I ended up using a Sawzall to cut off the existing plumbing because of a timeline. I just didn't have time. I was just under this time crunch to get all that stuff done. And so when I went to replace and put the new plumbing in, I realized I was deficient of a 1.5-inch bulkhead to fit into the tank. And I went to the hardware store, mainly because I'm at the hardware store on a regular basis anyhow. I happened to go to the hardware store and realized how expensive they are, or if they have them at all. Well, first of all, they didn't have the right one, but they did have the right size. But I wanted a slip on one side, slip on the other side, non-threaded, if that makes sense to you guys. Non-threaded on the inside, so I can put what I want in there and just glue it into place. And they didn't have those, and ordering 4 of them off of Amazon was cheaper than just getting one at the store. So it seemed like a really good idea to just order them and wait a day. Turns out it was 2-day prime shipping, so they'll be here tomorrow, but not a big deal. The box of salt for the new reef tank will be arriving tomorrow also, along with some other goodies like that don't really matter to you guys. They're just really not that important. I need a new Sonicare head for my toothbrush, for brushing my teeth. I guess this is a little bit of a personal story. But we got a new dentist 1.5 years ago, and I had to get some dental work done. Nothing like out of control, but I have my wisdom teeth, and it turns out there's a slight pocket back here in between the wisdom tooth and then the next molar that really needs deep, hearty brushing every day, and it seems to be getting a lot better. Hopefully I'll be able to keep my wisdom tooth, because that's where I keep my stem cells. I keep my stem cells in my wisdom teeth for harvesting later in the future when they'll be able to harvest the stem cells. It turns out your wisdom teeth is one of the spots that they're able to get the youthful stem cells, I guess, would be like the kind of the street way to talk about it, I guess. The young ones, the young stem cells, for being able to do all that kind of stuff. But I was just short on getting some of those plumbing parts together, so it just seemed kind of stupid to start plumbing and then not be able to get the plumbing done. So what I had moved on to was rebuilding the 180 stand. And we talked about this yesterday a little bit, or I did. I can't really work too much in my shop as far as running a nail gun or a saw or any of that kind of stuff after 9 o'clock, which is generally why I do the live streams around 9 o'clock because, 8:30 or whatever, I kind of stop doing anything out there. I don't really want to get a noise ordinance violation. We talked about it yesterday. A noise ordinance violation in Washington is actually a crime, so you have to go to court, and I have 2 of them, which means they're not going to be lenient on me. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't push my luck, and I just don't. It seems like a bad idea to keep pushing my luck with the same stupid nonsense of making noise. You know what I'm saying? So someday I'll tell you guys the story of that. I don't know. Someday. Maybe somebody throws a super chat someday to hear the noise ordinance violation stories. There's 2 of them. Maybe. Who knows? Feel my swag 15. What up? The YouTube names sometimes, well, not sometimes, they almost always are awesome. Lewis Q, dude, I'm sure you mentioned it at some time, but like I said, I've been out of the YouTube loop for a while, but what happened to all the shrimp and plants? I've definitely been over that ad nauseum, and especially in the live streams. I don't mind going over it real quickly, but go back to catch some of the other live streams. I definitely go into it a lot more in detail. Similar to having cut the plumbing apart on the 240, that timeline, everything was happening in real big succession to move to the new house, and I put everything in bucket and brought all the tanks down here, and all the buckets were at the old house with heaters in them, and the heaters just boiled the buckets. I mean, they weren't even like, it wasn't dead shrimp, it was cooked shrimp. It wasn't dead plants, it was cooked plants. It was like collard greens with nasty shrimp that shouldn't be cooked for shrimp, you know what I'm saying? It was gnarly. There just really wasn't any coming back. All my plants were packed in there, all that kind of stuff. So everything just got destroyed. It just got destroyed. And I just had to suck it up and accept it and move on, because there wasn't like, rinse this off, do a water change. There's nothing I could do. But this thumb is gnarly. I got the bandage off it now. I don't want to freak you all out. It's disgusting, though. Rurutu, how about more insulation in the garage to block noise? Yeah, that's on the list. As you guys know, from if you go through and watch a bunch of the... I built a fish room in the old garage here. And within the space of that... I'm just waving my hands around like a weirdo. Think of a rectangle inside of a rectangle. The bigger rectangle is the entirety of the building. I built this smaller rectangle and did that whole portion. Completely insulated. Did all the drywall, did all the framing, did all the concrete work, did everything in there. All the electrical, all that stuff is all done. Now the rest of the building is all 100-year-old shop, which I might as well just be outside in regards to noise. There's no insulation in that. It's just a couple of pieces of wood and some siding, basically, between the noise and everything going out. And it is on the list. We're definitely going to finish the rest of that shop. We're going to take the rest of the shiplap that is on the interior there. We're going to take that all down and redo the walls and insulate everything and seal everything sufficiently, and I bet that will be enough to mess around with stuff later in the evening. if that needs to be the case in the future. I doubt that that's going to be the case in the future, because the main reason that I'm having to work late is because none of the tanks are set up yet. Though I am just right on the cusp of being able to set up some tanks. So we're just right there. And, once they're set up on their stands and stuff, I probably won't need to be building stands late into the evening. I can work on other stuff that doesn't make a gigantic racket, or just get the racket stuff done early and move on to stuff that's quieter later. Right? Building a stand, I have to cut the wood. I have to shoot my nail gun. I have to drive screws and stuff, and it's just rackety. And most of my new neighbors around here, I really doubt it would bother them, especially to the point of like calling the cops or anything like that. But I just don't want to be pushing my agenda on other people. And realistically, Vicky and I need to get to bed early. So there's not like I'm going to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning messing around with that kind of stuff and building that late anyhow. So I just need to fit it in the couple hours that I have when I get home. And tonight, I had to spend a bit of time teaching, I guess, pseudo-father-in-law or whatever to drive his new semi, which has been here since I got it from the guy that he bought it from, and we loaded out all the stuff from the old house and moved stuff around and drove it around, and we've been using it a little bit. Oh, we'll just go ahead and put user in a timeout. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Some jack off in the live chat. Sorry about that. I hate to get distracted by that. But he'd never driven a truck that big, so we had to spend about an hour and a half driving around. Took him up to Home Depot and cruised around the parking lot. I walked him through driving the truck and like what to do and all that kind of stuff. It's not the biggest truck you've ever seen, but it's pretty big. It's like a FedEx truck. Decent rig for sure. Fully rebuilt, probably 20 years old, but it's just a nice truck. Nice truck. I enjoyed driving it around. So that kind of cut into my building time this evening. But is it the good news? Is it the great news? I'm not sure. I'm only scheduled for a half day tomorrow, so I'm going to have like a 4-hour window to finish the stand for the 180 and get that all locked in, and then finish the plumbing on the 180 and the 240 and get those ready. And if I have any time left, I'm going to clean the Coraline off the new 180. I'll have to pick up some distilled vinegar. We'll get some distilled vinegar and get that cleaned off, and it won't really be that won't be that big of a process, especially when you get down to it. That's probably going to end up being the shrimp tank is the new 180. I think I'm going to be setting that one up as the new Crystal Shrimp kind of sanctuary or whatever, because I have to build the background that's going to insert into the back of the tank, because it is a blue. It is a blue background tank, and I am not super enthusiastic about planted tanks with a blue background. So the background I'm going to end up building, and I haven't really mentioned exactly what I'm going to be building in the back there, but I am going to be building a permanent fixture, sort of hardscape deal that will be going back there, and I'll, of course, be making a video about that. I'm halfway done with making the 180 stand build video. And the other half will be tomorrow when I finish building the stand, and then I'm going to throw that into the live stream. Now, the live stream tomorrow, to those of you that are here, will be much earlier in the afternoon and not the evening time, because I will be gone this weekend. We are going on a backpacking excursion into the mountains to kind of get away from it all, get some blood pumping, and go scope out some new areas up in the mountains. So we're going to be going to do that. So there will be no live stream on Saturday, no live stream on Sunday. Tomorrow's Friday the 26th will be early. So anybody that happens to be early off from work tomorrow or whatever, and that kind of stuff, we're going to do the live stream early with the new 180 stand reveal, I guess, or video, We'll get that video into the live stream. We'll be able to click through the scenes and talk about that stuff. So if anybody has any questions about building a stand, tomorrow will definitely be your day. I'll be able to run through all that kind of stuff. Carson's asking, did I find a 120? Yes, there is a 120 that is hanging. I believe Carson knows who George is. Ya boy, George. He actually has the 120, so I'm just going to negotiate with him whether I can get the price and what parts he's going to include. And it's basically just to go pick it up. Dude lives in Tacoma too, so it's just drive up there. And actually his house is like 6 blocks from a house that I'm working on, so I can probably coordinate pretty easily with the dude, even though he's around a lot, so it's not, I don't imagine that it'll be super... I don't imagine that it will be super difficult to coordinate that pickup. It will be actually pretty easy. Ty Hang's asking, what time does quiet hours start? A good rule of thumb is just 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I'm not sure exactly what it is down here. It's always different city to city, but 10 o'clock is the latest I've ever seen it. So I just go with 9, just to be sure. Because I'm telling you, it's not like a parking ticket. It's not like a speeding ticket. You have to go to court. There will be a court date where they threaten to lock you up in a cage. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bit of an... it's important to me. Most people don't realize like how wacky that law is, but that's what the law is. Ruru says liquid barkeeps. Let's troll through the chat. Take your time. Don't put nails in your thumb. I shoot my framing nail gun almost every day, all the time. And I haven't shot one through my thumb, per se. These 2 fingers have had some narrow escapes, but it's pretty... These days, with all the safeties on nail guns, it would be pretty difficult to really... shoot myself. And I don't do roofing nailing, so I'm not always like doing that crazy stuff. So I've never had one like shoot at my leg or anything like that, but it definitely is something to pay attention to, because the nail is not your friend in that situation. It definitely will go straight through your finger. Ruru 2, black background on Planet Tanks to hide the green algae in the back wall. I guess that's part of it, for sure. It's definitely easier to clean and all that kind of stuff. I just like the contrast of the black background versus the blue background against the plants, if that makes any sense. I've owned both, and I definitely enjoy the black contrast with the green and all that. Just sets it off better as far as I'm concerned. And it's not going to be a clear cube, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to have the opportunity to have the background be clear, and it's also not cube-shaped. So I feel like the clear, all sides works really well on a cube, but I don't feel it works that great on a long tank like that, like the new 180. It's 6 feet long, 2 feet front to back, 2 feet top to bottom, if that makes sense to you. It's pretty dope. Carson's asking what time tomorrow. Like I was saying, the live stream will be a different time tomorrow because we're going to be heading out. So my guess would be the live stream will probably be around 4 or whatever. I can always text you, Carson. I'll text you tomorrow and let you know. Probably let the moderators know when that's going. And I forgot to make Carson a moderator, but he will become a moderator. So you better watch out. Carson Anderson dropping the hammer. It was Q. Why not try your hand at a different type of shrimp, man? I'm sure you could pull it off. It is going to be in the same family, and I'm not 100% set on necessarily crystal shrimp, but I'm probably going to be doing a more difficult strain of crystal shrimp, probably greens or King Kongs or something along those lines is what I'm going to be most likely working on. going that route and making it more difficult for myself. So that's definitely a thing that I'm going to be doing. At least leave a localized nuclear bomb in any vehicles left behind. Rid yourself of a thief. The thievery is driving me nuts. That kind of stuff just seems like I got to nail everything to the ground these days. I like that idea for shrimps too. One of the issues with really like mixing the different kinds of shrimp is, like, if I did really shrimp or whatever, it's really easy to add some other shrimp to them and end up with brown, wild-looking shrimp. Let's see if we could run through some of them. Like, a mono shrimp need a brackish tank to breed, so I couldn't do a mono shrimp. Singapore shrimp, I think they need brackish water to breed also, though I might be wrong on that. Let's run, let's see, maybe some other... I'll probably have bamboo shrimp in that tank. We definitely need to replace the ones that didn't make it from Vicky's tank. And we'll probably, maybe Sulawesi shrimp. I'm going to have to, let me Google search them real quick to refresh my mind. Oh yeah, Cardinal Sulawesis, yeah, Cardinal shrimps. Those are dope for sure. I don't know who's has some. That's going to really be an issue if I can locate those or not. But I'm definitely open to the possibility on that. Upalua. I don't know what Upalua are. So I have been thinking about doing some other shrimp. It's just realistically going to come down to availability and access to trying to locate some that would be able to accommodate doing some other shrimp. As you guys, some of you may know from yesterday's live stream, Crispy Aquascapes sent me some trimmings and stuff, some plants, and that was badass. I have the note here. But the plants are all in a holding tank in the meantime. And all those little bustas is going to be going into the 240. Definitely super awesome. Just such an awesome gesture to get an outreach like that and just send something that cool along the way. And he was saying I should have let him know to send me some crystal shrimp, but I'm most likely going to buy some crystal shrimp from him and a couple other people. That's going to be coming down very soon. I don't have that tank set up yet, so that's beside the fact that if he had sent them, I wouldn't have had anywhere to put them yet because the tank's not set up and it's not running yet, but it's going to be rocking and rolling very, very soon. Rurutu says to go to Corey's Fish House and swipe some of his blue shrimp. We had a ton of blue shrimp. We had a bunch of the Thunderbolts here in Vicky's tank, and they were breeding very well. That colony was doing very well. And like I said, we went through all that water testing to try and find out what was going on with the water, and I'm still to this day not sure what happened because we had them in holding tanks down in the basement, and everything realistically should have been A-okay. We had a couple of shrimp deaths, so we ended up doing a full water change on that before we went out of town because that's really the only preventative maintenance that we could have done at the time. We came back, and everything was just annihilated, so I'm not sure what happened when we were gone. Testing the water after everything had already died. I mean, obviously ammonia was off the chart, but there's dead stuff in the water, so that completely makes sense. So I went through and did another test yesterday of the water, and nothing is really showing up. So it's probably, if with nothing showing up like that, it's most likely human error, which sucks, but human error can be corrected. Bad water could be corrected. Either of these things could be corrected, so that's really, we're just focusing on paying paying real close attention to what's going on, making sure that everything that's going on with our tanks is going to be dope. Got the roadie setting up fairly soon to make sure that we're filtering most of the water and stuff. Big Pedro just got here. What's the good news? We're working on the good news right now. Everything's coming in tomorrow. Half of the 180 stand is built, and I can't remember what the great news is now. The great news is the good news is the tank's almost ready. The great news is the stands are almost done, and everything's going to get done tomorrow. I'm only working a half day, so I'll be finishing up the video for building of the stands, and we'll do the live stream early tomorrow afternoon. I guess that was the good news and the great news or something. I'll be honest, it's getting kind of late for me. The dwarf crayfish, Rurutu, had dwarf crayfish a long time ago. They tend to eat anything that is in the tank. They just don't. Mine turned into bulldozers and just started killing everything and eating all the plants and anything that got in their way. They just started annihilating things, and then I realized, well, that's just their nature. That's just crayfish doing crayfish stuff, and it was just best to relocate them to their own tank. Had them for a while and ended up selling them off because it was just they ended up being kind of boring once I got the tank good enough for them to once I got the tank right so that they wouldn't kill everything in it. They just ended up getting kind of boring. So that's just personal preference. I know a lot of people love having them in their tanks, and that's dope. Carson's asking, will you be setting up an auto water change system on the new tanks? I will be setting up a automated system, if that makes sense, so that I can operate it and pay attention to what's going on without doing a bunch of crazy legwork, which means I can turn it on, drain the tanks into the other systems down the line, which would be the pond and the aquaponics and all that stuff down the line, so everything will be draining out and heading down to the next systems, and then eventually draining out into the drain field on the back of the property here. So it will be pseudo-automated. All the water lines will be run around the shop to all the tanks, so I can individually do water changes if I need to. But eventually, multiple of the tanks are going to be plumbed into the whole entire system that is going out to outside, so that I can have a really huge water volume on a pretty small display tank. Realistically, that's, I think, is going to be the best beneficial system. It's going to be a lot of fun to work with a system that is like that, and it's stuff that I want to do. So I'm, ain't nobody hiring me to set this up at their house, so I'm doing it myself at my house, because what up? That's what I want to do, so I'm going to be doing that. Feel my swag. Maybe I missed it, but why such a late live stream? Not that you're complaining. Well, that's good that you're not complaining. That's dope. We are just a little bit later today. I was helping Victoria's dad learn how to drive his big semi-truck, so we ended up getting to it a little bit later today instead of right at 9 o'clock. I like to do these for an hour. Is pretty much feel sufficient, but it is a little bit late tonight, so I'm probably going to cut it off about 45 minutes is probably where we'll end it today. But Lewis Q, good night. You tired? You got to go to bed? I'm a little bit tired myself. Good news, everyone. You're going to make a delivery to the Phantom Zone. I don't understand what that means. Dwayne, yeah, I did have pizza last night. It finally showed up right at the end of the live stream, and that was why we cut off the live stream, because it was time to eat some pizza. And I'll tell you, it was cold. I don't know what that guy was doing driving around. Maybe he was lost or something and couldn't figure out where to bring the pizza to. But it was still delicious, man, because it's pizza, and I love it. I wish that pizza was a little bit healthier somehow. I don't know how, and still be delicious. But then again, maybe that's like me wishing that ice cream was still delicious and more healthy, right? So maybe it's a little bit silly, but it was good. Tai Hang, do you reuse the water from water changes in the large tanks? Currently, I do not. From the last place we were at, I would use a little. Well, actually, I would reuse some of the water. We would use it to water like out in the garden and stuff like that. But the water from the big tanks now is going to be going to drain into the aquaponic system. That's going to be the so if we start at the top, the reef water can't go anywhere. So I just have to toss it. That's just really what I have to do. If we start at the top, the planted tanks would basically be have to be the cleanest out of the system. So that water will dump into the aquaponics. The aquaponics will dump into the pond, then circulate back in up to where the rainwater is collected, back down into the aquaponics. Now, when I dump from the fish tanks, it'll cycle into that system and push water down the line, if that makes sense. Maybe that seems confusing because I'm just describing it and waving my hands around like a weirdo. But it's a system that goes from one end down to the other end, and hopefully, if I can get everything to operate properly and work within sort of an ecosystem, hopefully the aquaponics will be cleaning the water enough to basically go back, if that makes sense. The high level that the plants from an aquaponic system pull out of the water, we shall see how we do it. That's not. I'm not describing that properly. We shall see how well it works with the plant load that we have in. Hopefully, we're going to be turning a large plant load, and I know that Victoria wants to get a freeze dryer at some point in time, so that we're able to produce plants 365 all year round and freeze dry the stuff that we do make, and then be able to eat it down the line. So, like, let's say we harvest 40 zucchini. We're either going to have to give them away or try and eat 5 of them a day and then have no more later. So basically what we're kind of planning on, and we'll see how this works out down the line, but what we're planning on doing is getting a freeze dryer, and then we can dice everything up, freeze dry it, and then store it once it's freeze dried. Freeze dried food is actually, obviously it's not as good as fresh, right? Because it's freeze dried, but it really does retain a lot of the nutrients and all that stuff, and it really does retain a lot of the flavor. And we don't necessarily use freeze dried stuff like all the time, but we do use it fairly often. And we are able to supplement a lot of stuff for camping and hiking and all that kind of stuff. We're definitely able to make all of our own food, bag it up, and take it with us and do that kind of stuff. Definitely makes all that way more economical. And, like, let's say we grow strawberries, we're able to freeze dry the strawberries and then have them in February when it's really difficult to turn strawberries. Even if you have an indoor growing system, it's still pretty difficult to turn those. We do, Rurutu's asking, what about pickling? We do pickling at the end of the year, but there just are times where you just don't want to eat pickled asparagus or pickled beans or pickled cucumbers that are pickles, right? So there just are times where you just don't necessarily want to eat all something that's salty and pickled. It's just so that's kind of the other option. It's like, you could pickle your beets, which is fantastic. Hold them up on a shelf, keep them for a long time, and they are super delicious. Or you could freeze dry your beets and then just have beets if you wanted to add them to something down the line, if that makes sense. an aquaponic system, do you need to add extra fertilizers, or does fish waste contain enough nutrients for your plants? That's all dependent on the actual aquaponic system itself. It depends on how it's set up. It depends on the fish load that's in there. A lot of times, if you are utilizing your aquaponic system and basically heavy feeding your fish, which doesn't mean like go crazy and just dump a whole 50-pound bag of food in there or anything like that. But if you are heavily feeding, you will have enough from the system to be able to grow a decent amount of plants. But you do need to test your water if you have an aquaponic system. You need to test it from time to time. But the easiest way to test it as time goes on is to see how your plants are growing. It's really easy in an aquaponic system to get up close, look at your plants, see what's going on with them. And online, there's a bunch of charts that make it real easy to figure out what's deficient in your water. If you're and how your plants are reacting to the water, will give you an idea of what you might need to supplementally add. Like if you're iron or potassium or whatever you're short on, you'll be able to supplement that. A lot of the aquaponics stores sell a lot of real fancy liquid fertilizers that have fancy names and fancy advertising on them and all that kind of stuff to be like a one-stop magical fertilizer to add to an aquaponic system, which is typically designed for basement tomato growers, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. To be a one-stop fertilizer in order to grow that. And I certainly do not recommend going that way. It is a ton of money, and it's a ton of money wasted because you can walk generally to the left or the right and find the specific fertilizer that you're looking for your aquaponics in a real generic form for a 20th of the cost. Super cheap, real easy to go. Tai Hang's asking, is there a taste difference from aquaponic plants compared to food grown in soil? Not typically, unless there are deficiencies in the system. If they're really deficient of the nutrients and everything that the plants are needing to pick up, then that's when there is a difference in taste. And that's typically what people will refer to when they say that these hydroponically or aquaponically grown plants taste differently, is typically because they've been deficient in something. And typically coupled with the fact that most people that are aquaponically growing their stuff are growing more organic type things, these different strains of produce that most people don't normally get their hands on. If I said I brought you a black tomato, most people would go, I don't know what a black tomato is. I don't want to eat that. I'm not sure. If they tried it, it would taste different from a tomato that they've typically had. But the black tomatoes are an heirloom tomato, so it's an older, it's basically like an older breed of tomato, if that makes sense. And it does taste distinctly different from, say, a beefsteak tomato or a Roma tomato. So people are kind of put off by that different flavor, and they can't necessarily how to put it. And then they normally put their finger on like, well, it's because this was grown over here. That's why it's different. So you have to pay attention to the variables and stuff. But if here's a really easy experiment that you could do at your house. You could do this with either green onions or celery. It's real easy to do. All right, well, let's just stay with the two. Stalk of celery or the green onions. Now, you cut all of the top portion off and you save the butt down at the bottom. Take that, stick it in a cup of water, and put it on your windowsill. It'll grow from that stalk butt end that seems like nothing except just the little end bit. It'll grow out of there or shoot out of there. You'll get extra celery and extra green onion from that just sitting on your counter or up at the window, near your sink or whatever, in your kitchen. They'll grow actually up out of there, and they do taste different. but that's because the water that you generally put in there is really deficient. So the plant is just using its last energy to push out and push out new growth in hopes that it's going to be able to root and replant. But that's not what's happening in aquaponic or hydroponic system. You're just generally giving them enough to grow new shoots and not use their old reserve energy to shoot up that last plant there, because now it's just going to be going in a cycle. As you harvest, it's going to keep going, and it's able to replenish and keep going. So it's really, I find it really interesting, and it definitely is a great way to turn around quite a bit of produce in a very small amount of space. I think it's a science that really needs to be pushed and applied throughout more of the planet in order to get a lot of these small farmers to be able to sustain a lot more growth without having to own huge plots of land or huge amounts of access to water. I think that it's very important to try and get this technology out to more people throughout the world, just to kind of take the burden off of bad ideas like monoculture, growing millions and millions of acres of corn and grinding it up and putting it in everything. It just seems a little absurd to keep doing it that way when we should, in my opinion, be enabling a lot of these small people to be able to, smaller operations over a more diverse area would be a much better way to do that. Will hydrogen have minerals for plants to absorb? Hydrogen is just, as far as I know, hydrogen is just a rock, if that makes sense. It's just a rock that everything is coming from your water column. So this rock is just an opportunity for your plants to root up at the top of an aquaponic system. I'm not sure if there's really anything in it. I think it's pretty inert, like lava rock or something like that. Along those lines, it doesn't do a whole bunch. Dwayne's asking, how excited am I to get this fish room up and running? I tell you, I'm almost not excited anymore because I'm just... I'm just driven to get it done at this point. The excitement has almost bubbled over into stress. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just need to get this thing going. You know what I'm saying? It's at that point right now where there's just like an imaginary guy hanging over my head with a hammer just going like, get this thing done. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know if that's exciting or not, but that's kind of the reality. Ty Hang with a super chat on Wednesday. Or no, it's not even Wednesday, it's Thursday. Thanks for the hours of entertainment and info. Hey, thank you for showing up for the live chats, for the live stream, whatever we want to call this thing. You guys are the reason I don't know if you guys are the reason I do it, but you guys are the reason I do it. So it's the reason I do it is the reason you do it. I don't know. How does this go? I would like to be arrogant enough to say that I would do this if nobody watched it, but I mean, in reality's sense, then I would just turn the computer off and just do it towards the wall over there if that was really the case. So, realistically, you guys are the reason I show up to do it, and I love doing this, and it is a lot of fun, and I hope to expand on this more. That is the plan moving forward, to do more podcasts and do more live streams like this. As I said, over the weekend, there won't be a Saturday or a Sunday, and Monday is iffy right now because of this holiday weekend. I will be up on a mountain, and there just ain't no way to do it. I mean, there might be a way to do it. I don't know, but it would just be ridiculous, and it wouldn't be any good. So that's what's going on with this weekend. So everybody knows that that's coming up. There will be an early live stream tomorrow at probably 4 to 5-ish or somewhere around there. I would probably say 5 because I think Vicky hits the train system around 5 o'clock when she gets off work, and then it takes her about an hour and a half to get here. So I think that's probably going to be the time. Let's say 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock Pacific time, Friday, the 26th of May, the beginning of the holiday weekend. The Japanese are doing really nice commercial aquaponic systems. They definitely are. I would agree that the Japanese are definitely doing quite a bit of pretty fantastic aquaponic systems. I'm not sure what it's going to take to be able to get these systems down to a lot more people. That's really the I think that's really going to be the hinge pin. The hinge pin? Is that right? Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, hinge pin to getting the systems out there is most likely going to come down to some kind of public funding at some time. Some countries probably going to step up. I would say the success with Germany's solar, their solar incentive program that they have there, is probably going to be some kind of model like that, would be my guess, is that you almost get, because what they did in Germany is they gave zero interest loans to their citizens in order to purchase and install solar panels onto their houses in order to take a lot of the stress off of the grid that already existed in Germany that needed a lot of upgrades. Well, they figured out a way to upgrade by outsourcing to all of the people of Germany. They made it available, and then all of the surplus energy that they got from putting the solar panels on goes back into the system, and they got paid for that. So it turns out, I think it was about 8 or 9 years that they would take the loan out, buy the system, install the system, then the system would essentially make the payments back, and then after about 8 or 9 years, now they're making a surplus of money, which is coming in, which is, I think, realistically what I think a lot of people need to try and model the future of our lives coming forward. And I think aquaponic systems hydroponic, aquaponic, urban farming, whatever kind of catchphrase you want to get it. When you want to, what am I saying? But it's going to take public funding in order to get all that stuff rolling and kind of change just what it is to just kind of be a person, an individual person in all of the countries around the world, to be able to supply and essentially take the burden off of monocropping. You know what I'm saying? I think that's realistically going to be the thing. Crispy Aquascape, what's up? Another shout out to the Crispy Chris. We are actually coming up on the end of the live stream. I'm going to say thanks to everybody. I'm going to say thanks first and foremost to Tai Hang. Thank you for the donation and the super chat. Much appreciated. Carson was our first. Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, Lewis, for coming out. He's already asleep, though. Rurutu, you're always welcome. Dead Boy NYC. Feeling my swag 15. Whoever that one guy is I had to boot, go away. And I think we've gotten to Big Pay Drow. Big Pay Drow. Thank you for coming out. I'm probably going to miss a couple of people here, but that's the reality because we're getting down to the end, and I think I have a piece of pizza left from last night. It's probably cold, and I'm still going to eat it because I'm a maniac. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock Pacific time, Friday the 26th of May. And everybody have a good night, and we're going to get down to the part here where I start saying later, lighter, lighter, and looking for the buttons over here. All right. Later, everybody. Hold your questions for tomorrow, and we'll be back.